Hello and welcome back, and that is right, it's time for another update on the Storaxa Kickstarter NAS. And today's video is going to be slightly different from the previous ones because I've got a mixture of good and bad news to discuss. First and foremost, I have virtually no updates versus our previous video, which came out, I think, just over a month ago at the September video there. And Storaxa hasn't really rolled out any updates on the ongoing Stripe situation that they described in previous correspondence in their previous, I believe, update 27 and 28. Now, off the back of that, something I talked about at the tail end of that video, I wanted to arrange a couple of Zoom calls. One was a Zoom call that I wanted to arrange with Storaxa themselves to put forward questions from users in the community, and indeed my own questions about the product and the campaign, and I didn't really hear anything from them on that. Something we've discussed in the other videos and the comments here on the Storaxa pages. The other thing was to do a second Zoom. That second Zoom talking to other backers, talking about how they feel the campaign is going, ways in which the campaign could be improved, and their thoughts on the campaign for the future, the good, the bad, and more. And that is what today's video is. Today's video is the recording of that Zoom call. I've just come off straight off the back of the Zoom call. Right now, went on for about an hour and a bit, and what you're seeing is pretty much the entire thing. I've clipped a little bit at the beginning, a little bit off the end there, but it's pretty much the whole thing unedited. I will say straight away, it is a Zoom call in the traditional sense with all the boxes there on screen. I've not tried to do any superimposing. You're going to see the odd right click and mute, unmute. It's all going to be in there unfettered in its original state there. So again, it's a long old video, but if you are back in this campaign, or you are someone who didn't back it, or just wondering how the campaign is going with as far as the backers are concerned, that is what this discussion represents. Again, you'll find out more about it. There should be a link in the description to kind of the overall terms of it. I'm going to put my phone over there. Sorry, I've only just turned everything else on after the Zoom. And the last thing I will add is that as far as the Storaxa campaign goes as it stands, we haven't really heard from Storaxa since the previous video, bar one message that appeared on the Storaxa comment section 7 hours prior to this recording. We shared links to this Zoom session that just concluded on the Storaxa comment section for the better part, I believe, of 7 to 10 days. I might be wrong. And they did post an update on there stating that, dear backers, due to the challenges we experienced, we've also had to deal with a change in personnel, and communications did not continue as we promised. We apologise for this inconvenience. Procurement, development and preparation for production have continued. The scheduled update will be posted on October 30th. Thank you for your understanding and patience. And as you might expect, after that period of silence, there has been mixed responses to that, and you'll hear a lot of the thoughts of some of those backers and more, as well as my own perspective. I'll be straight with you in this video. So without further ado, let's skip ahead straight into the Zoom. And once again, do bear in mind it is a Zoom call. There should be chapters at the bottom, but it's very hard to chapterize when this is about a whole overarching narrative. So watch it and let me know what you guys think in the comments, whether you're a backer or not. But apart from that, I won't put a tail end on this video. Have yourselves a great week and enjoy the rest of the video. Onto the Zoom. So real quick, the aim of this Zoom, as I've mentioned in the comments of that Storaxa Kickstarter group, thanks for joining us, buddy. You haven't missed anything, we're just starting. The aim of this Zoom is just for people to talk about the project, how they think it's going, the project for the future. This is not any kind of Zoom that's designed for people to have a big argument. It's not designed to attack Storaxa or other users. It's just to discuss the campaign itself, because there are some users that are going to be watching this Zoom either here or when this is an edited form on YouTube, that are going to wonder, you know, is this thing going well or not? And there's going to be lots of back and forth on this. Now, again, I have invited Storaxa to Zooms previously. I've mentioned that. They haven't replied. They are well aware of this Zoom. There's every possibility that someone watching this could be from Storaxa. If you are there, hello, Storaxa. Lots of people joining here. So on top of that, with this Zoom, this will be recorded. It's being recorded in Zoom. I might just give myself a quick spotlight there because I'm arrogant and it's just easier because we're slowly getting more people coming in. Again, do yourselves a favour very quickly. Check your usernames, check your cameras, because this will be recorded and used. And if you don't want your face to appear on camera, or you know, your username might give away your email address or anything like that, just double check that your setup doesn't give anything away that you don't want to be given away in both the recording and live. On top of that, the structure of this Zoom is going to be nice and simple. We've got this long, boring intro here. We're going to try to keep this recording in about an hour, if possible, but let's be realistic, that probably won't happen. And And what I want you to do, if you're not familiar with Zoom, along the bottom you will see a raise hand icon. So if you're using a mobile phone, touch the screen, some of the items will appear, look for the 3 dots, and that raise hand icon means that you wish to speak. And what we'll do is, as people wish to speak and discuss the Storaxa project, thoughts, future, past, whatever, I'll bring you onto the spotlight side by side and we can discuss it further. Apart from that, don't use this as a platform to attack other users. This isn't some kind of echo chamber of nightmares. And if you are, if you make a lot of noise in the background, if you are seen to be abusing other people, Eddie, my Zoom sniper up there, will have to remove you to the waiting room or remove you from the Zoom. But apart from that, if you're not already aware, because again, this is a campaign that's got 5,900 or so backers, let's be realistic, that's a lot of people. I've been covering Storaxa on our YouTube channel and our blog site for the better part of, I believe, 8 to 9 months. We've been doing this because when we initially heard about the campaign from a lot of our subscribers and followers, they kind of asked our opinion on the project, and we did a very casual look at it at the beginning, going, oh, this looks like a really cool idea. So I got in contact with them and asked them when they reach further to development, it would be great to review their product. Whereupon after that, on further investigation of kind of the breakdown of the pricing, myself and Eddie kind of had disagreements internally, myself and Eddie up there on the Zoom, about whether it was even possible on that price point. Notwithstanding making the product in that price point, but a full distribution to 100%, factoring in logistics, factoring in all the elements that goes into a large production line. And from that is where this has been born, because after that there were users that were for and against what we were saying, so we committed ourselves by backing the project so we could continue to cover it for the channel, and therefore make a video every single month updating this project. Ultimately, with the goal, hopefully, of either showing this off as a success story in crowdfunding in this kind of tech arena of server storage for others to either use as a reference for backing or for their own project, alternatively to utilize it as a warning in case things didn't work out and people can stay more abreast than they were in the future. And that's really it. That's myself and Eddie's background in Storaxa and why we've been covering it up to this point. So if you did miss it at the beginning, because I know people are joining bit by bit, and this is a long speech, isn't it? If you do wish to speak, click the hands up gesture now, and what I'll do is I'll filter in and bring you into the chat. If you don't want to say anything, I completely understand. That will make this Zoom last about 9 seconds long.
Robert, I think most of us are here just to try to get some sort of update because of the lack of updates coming in from Storaxa, just to see if anybody knows anything, what's going on. It's an interesting project, definitely. That's why I got into it. But at this point, it's radio silence from the Storaxa guys, and everybody's wondering what's going on.
Again, so I understand where you're coming. Unfortunately, I only know as much as yourselves. As I said on Storaxa comment section there several times, I would love to be able to give people some extra knowledge. I mean, most of the videos that we've produced on NAS Compares, we've shown off our entire correspondence between ourselves and Storaxa, and fair to say it's been very one-sided for the most part. We don't know any more than yourselves, and there was an update. I don't know if all of you caught that. I say an update, I'll take that back. That's a complete erroneous statement there. The Storaxa group made a comment approximately 5 hours ago. Dear backers, due to the challenges we're experiencing, we've also had to deal with a change in personnel and communications. Did not continue like we promised. We apologise for this inconvenience. Procurement, development and preparation for production have continued. The scheduled update will be posted on October 30th or October 30. Thank you for understanding and patience. Again, some might argue a little late. I think that's a slightly polite way to put it.
No, I'll take that as an update. I'll take that as an update. I'll take that as a very welcome update. I mean, radio silence is bad, really, really bad in a project like this. And any kind of update saying, hey, we don't have the right person to send you an update is good enough for me. At least we know they haven't deserted us and we're not just holding on to a pipe dream here.
I mean, again, one of the things I'm going to do is try my best to remove, I'm going to go back to the large scale screen. One of the things I'm going to try to do is try and put any kind of my own personal feelings or thoughts on stuff, because that road leads to suggestion. Oh, we'll pop you on just a second. Here we go. We got some hands. Let's move over to somewhere right there. We go. Fire away, Gene. Is that Gene or Jean? I apologise. Fire away.
Yeah, Jim. Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah. First of all, I want to thank you, you and Eddie, because you decide to be more involved in this project. Um, I know, and I hope everybody knows that this meeting won't change anything with the Torasa because you have nothing to do with the team,
Mm,
but that helped us very much. And totally agree with Barry, with the comments of Barry, because the only contact we have with the Toraza is the platform, the Gears of the platform, and the comments they can provide every week or every month will ease the process. And um, I mean, maybe they have a lot of problem and they can accomplish with the plan, but if they will post comments every week, I think it's going to be easier for everyone. I
mm,
think that is, I know a micro advance post that will help to keep at least with the hope to finish this project.
mm.
Thank you, everyone,
Well, no,
again.
well, I was going to say absolutely. One of the kind of barriers of that, I think, when you look at the comments, which by the way have really spiraled out of control, I'm seeing a number 7,754 comments, which is insane, and that doesn't include some of the sub breakouts from that. There is, of course, the option to report on the main page on the Storaxa pages, and I think a lot of people are slightly hesitant to use that because it seems like a very nuclear destruction option. But still, I think you're right. Communication on there, even as you say, an arbitrary sentence a week. It doesn't have to be images, it doesn't have to be much, and I think that would reassure a lot of users on this project. But cool, all I'm doing is reiterating stuff you've already said. Anyone else what I'd like to talk?
Can I?
Oh, fire
So
away. Fire away, Miguel.
just to complement what Gene said, yeah, I agree that just by posting a comment, even if it's like 3-4 lines, I think it's enough for each week just to say like we are here, we are still doing our stuff. We don't have a full update for everyone, but we are here, and if you say something, we are listening for you, and just just that is enough for everyone, for the haters, let's say, that are saying that this is a scam or something like that, but that will be enough to ease some minds.
Oh, okay.
uh,
Oh, sorry. I interrupted you there. It broke out for a second. I
it's
apologise.
okay, it's okay. And probably being the Kickstarter the only way to communicate with them, and with the rest of the community that come for the Storax NAS solution. I think creating, for example, a Discord or something like that will probably be easier. It could have a lot of noise from everyone that would say the same thing, like asking for a refund or that this is a scam. That's normal, and I think it's okay. But having a direct communication with the Storax and the rest of the community will be great for us to build a better and healthy community for this product.
I mean, the dynamicism of something like that would be so much more preferable than what is there. And I just think there's a lot
Yeah.
of users that they ask very simple questions, and because they're not getting answered, then you will start thinking of, oh, why aren't they answering? And now, whether that is good or bad, because it is good to think about these things. That I think one of the biggest barriers I've seen, even preparing this Zoom, was just how hard it is to maintain communication when only 25 comments arrive at a time, and it descends into madness, and it makes every slight or every small pause 50 times larger. Anyway, over to you. Cheers for that. Over to you, Satish. Satish. I apologise if I butchered the pronunciation of your name.
No, that's correct. Thanks
Cool.
for the
Nice.
opportunity. So, the one thing, I mean, like, I was surprised to see the comment from the Storexa, because 5 hours back, when I was looking into the comments, I didn't find any thing there from the last update. And the only reason I'm thinking Storexa have commented is like because they're waiting for the funds from the payment gateway, and they are trying to just make sure, like, I'm not sure, is it because of this Zoom meeting or maybe for a different reason. They're just trying to say that we are alive and we are here to listen your concerns and all. But my assumption or my thinking is like they are just trying to stay for around like November 8th. Maybe we need to mainly know what happens after the November 8th, after the funds are uh, released. Yeah.
I mean, again, I think we would all have to agree that it's weirdly close to this Zoom meeting, which again, although not official, has clearly been
Yeah.
raised on there. The very idea that this Zoom happened at a few hours before this, and there's a comment. It's not an update. There's been no comments in between. Not to load any comments. It does seem rather close. But okay, then shall we move over to Francesco? Again, solid 10 out of 10 name. Are you able to unmute yourself, Francesco?
Did you hear me?
Yep, I 100% can. Far away.
The thing I want to say is that I think the problem is how you conduct business with your potential or future customer, because Kickstarter is not a shop, but you have to take into account how to you manage a situation like that, because established brands have teach us to have fear to communicate with the customer unless you have a satisfying answer, and that's the real problem. In a Kickstarter situation, the normal practice that you apply when you are a multi-billion-dollar company does not go well with a lot of people that have put faith in you and allow you to bring a project to the market.
I mean, again,
Is a
I was going to say,
is a
oh, go ahead. Sorry, I
sorry,
interrupted you.
sorry, is a issue of understanding your situation in relationship with your baker that is not the same that a big company with the usual customer. The situation is different and this require different approaches to different matter.
Oh no, I completely agree. And I think one of the more consistent comments that appeared on the Kickstarter's, I'm sorry, in the Storaxa Kickstarter's comment section as my cat enters the room. Sorry about that. If you hear a jingle noise, I don't wear a collar. But one of the things that I hear time and time again on there is a lot of people saying, look, this is Kickstarter, this is crowdfunding, this is the status quo. And to a point, that is correct. When you are backing Kickstarter, you are backing an idea, and that does hold fruit to a point. But it's not unlike, and I know this is a very painful simile, but if you go to a casino and you're betting and you're starting to lose a lot of money, you can walk away. And with Storaxa, there's a lot of users that feel like they can't walk away from the table, or that they have no option to walk away from the table, or that they have no choice. And that feeling of isolation in terms of what's going on, I think only exacerbates things. And again, it just circles back to what we said before about communication being absolutely essential. But no, you're right. I think the attitude of going towards crowdfunding is going to be pretty important. But far away, Saif, I'm just banging on there and repeating what the other guy said. Far away. Cheers for that, Francesco. Over to you, Saif.
Yeah, I just want to say, again, I'm by no means am a newbie to the internet, and I've seen Kickstarter from back in the day when Kickstarter actually, the whole crowdfunding thing actually started. I'm a veteran of the internet, but I'm an idiot as well. And I didn't exactly know that when you buy something on Kickstarter, you're not necessarily going to get it at the end of the day. I do realize that today. Maybe Kickstarter needs to do, I don't know, a better job at educating their customers or patrons that, hey, I know they have a disclaimer, that one-line disclaimer at the bottom saying it doesn't mean that you're going to get it. But I don't know, maybe I'm just an idiot, or maybe there are other people like me. Maybe they need to do a better job.
No, I was going to say, I would go as far as to say, I don't think it's that black and white. I think it's a case of, with crowdfunding, there is this idea that it's like, right, you're backing it, you might not get the product, but there is something about the advertisement of the safeguards in the middle. And again, I mentioned earlier on about the idea to report a project. Now, stuff like that, if a project is not going the way you think it is, or you think it's not being delivered in the way that has been promised, you can report. And several users have already done that in the comments, and you can scroll down that massive comment chain and find users that have reported it to Kickstarter. And there's a boilerplate copy and paste reply you get, but then obviously little things chip away, and it's I've seen, again, those that have followed in preparation for a lot of this series and for following a lot of other crowdfunding NASs in the last 12 months or so, myself and Eddie, we've done a lot of research on other crowdfunding campaigns that have done well and not done well, and consistently the thing that always seems to turn things around, good or bad, or at least outs the truth, is when large scale kind of questions are raised. I'm not going to say this is the reason for that Zoom, because this is trying desperately and failing sometimes to maintain an editorial stance. But I don't think it's, I think a lot of you, I think Kickstarter could stand to be a lot louder about it, but it's more about their safeguards, I think, about how people, the thing with Stripe, there we go. Let's talk about Stripe for a moment there, because that was always going to come up in this discussion. And again, we have to be completely neutral about this. So on the one hand, the idea of having Stripe holding the money in between the collection of money for a crowdfunding campaign and the eventual handing over is, objectively from the outside, a very smart idea. It stops crowdfunding from immediately getting the money and buggering off to Spain. But, and nothing against Spain, lovely, it's raining here. But when it comes to a lot of that payment provider stuff at the moment, it felt more recently, and again, I can only speak from what I see, that everything we know about what's going on with Stripe and the money being held, there seems to be gaps in my coverage and what's going on with the Stripe stuff. And that was one of the other things I want to talk about today, when we've seen some people reach out to Stripe. I don't know if anyone here reached out to Stripe, reached out to them, and of course Stripe are going to be very protective about it, customer to customer confidentiality and such. But there is just this vibe. If Storaxa are holding the funds, why? If Stripe are holding funds, why? Because at best we know is it was the pledge box and money going back and forth. But this is still only, we're hearing from short updates from Storaxa themselves. Ed's raising a hand. Do you know what, Eddie? If you want to take yourself off mic, welcome to the channel, off mute. What have you got to say, Ed? Fire away, man.
There's a question from Vitali in the chat. There's a chat on the side. He's saying that Stripe is not blocking funds with no reason. Only if there is a potential threat, like a scam alert, then they will be blocking or holding that amount of money. Also, he's asking or saying that his vision, he thinks that what's going to happen is they will deliver 10 to 20 units and then all that project will fall apart. So it will look like they tried. And his question is there any alternative he can find on AliExpress?
What, for this product? Not really.
So
again, I don't really want to use this Zoom to highlight alternative products, because that's not really the end goal of this Zoom. It's predominantly just to cover this generally. I would say, the whole rocking out 10 to 20 units. One thing you can say about certain business models, you look at it raising, 1.9 mil at the beginning and then going up to 3.4 with all of the extras. Clearly there is demand for a product there, and sometimes that demand's enough for people to go, well, do you know what, let's make this happen. Not everything has to be a scam. Sometimes it's people just failing. I hope it doesn't go down the whole rock 10, 20 units out the door and then run off into the sun. I sincerely hope that's not the place. And I'm just going to get rid of this cat. But 1 second, Francesco, do you want to take yourself off Zoom? If you've got a follow-up question, we'll get over to you in a second, Johannes.
No, I want to comment on the last thing you said. I think it was interesting. The fact that there is a report project button is in itself kind of a problem, because the impression with Kickstarter or even Indiegogo is that Kickstarter is not really invested in the success of the project, because once they collect the money, their job is done and they have nothing really to do with project success or not success. Because maybe I am getting the wrong impression, but at the end of the day, Kickstarter pick up the money really in advance, and the baker are the one hanging up to the hope. I think that situation is can be treated more fairly if you not take responsibility, but monitor
The
the various
campaigns, yeah.
projects to give update and not to leave the backer hanging in the void.
I mean, I would.
To have not the responsibility to give me the product because I took a risk personally, but to have the responsibility to ensure the communication arrive, and I know that the product will never arrive or will arrive late.
I mean,
At least that I think you owe me this.
but I was going to say, I mean, in a fashion, of course, they are invested because they do. Kickstarter does take a percentage of the money that is garnered for the platform. But I understand the point you're making, absolutely, and in the broader sense, it is completely true. But it's just they are financially viable from it, and it's kind of in their interest to get people coming back. But again, how much intervention or how much they'll actually go into something like this, if there is something deemed to be a concern, who's to say? Unfortunately, it's all in-house. But cheers for that. Johannes, over to you. If you're already off mute. Nice. Go ahead.
Yes, hello, Johannes from Sweden.
Oh, it's a fantastic country. Recommended.
Yes, I think the Kickstarter must have some responsible for this because it's their platform and they earn 5% of the total amount of the money, and it's very much money that's on stake here. Let's be honest about that. I just wonder, does Stripe protect our money for a scam? Is it a protection for us as a customer?
Well, from my understanding, from the research I did a couple of videos ago, the reason the money is held in Stripe is mainly as a safeguard measure. The money has to be held for a given period of time. When they looked at the high volume and the relative, I'm not going to say newness, but when an organisation does a crowdfunding campaign, if the money really goes out of control, they're kind of, right, we'll give you some of it now, some of it later, as a kind of proof of product or proof of prototype, I believe. But in this case, because of, again, I'm basing all of this on what Storaxa have said in their updates, so we have to take them at the word on that when they had a lot of issues with pledge box and refunds and money going back and forth, it must have triggered some kind of internal mechanism that basically went, why are people refunding a lot? Let's hold on to the money a little bit longer. And that's what Storaxa was saying in their updates there. But the idea that their Stripe hold on to that money, there's always going to be people that are going to be happy and unhappy about it. Because, we could go to both extremes here. We could go for the positive extreme, which is money gets freed up in a month or whatever it is. Then the project happens, and then later on, people can just go, "Oh, I've got my cool new Storaxa. I had to wait 60 extra days. Damn you, Stripe! But I've got my product in 60 extra days," and they can get angry at Stripe, going, "Oh, you're earning interest off that. We hate you." Now, the extreme at the other end, of course, is that they hold on to the money, and then after 30 days, that money is released, and then the silence becomes deafening, and it's. I genuinely, personally believe that having Stripe in the middle is a good thing. How it is managed and the safeguards and those alert triggers and having everything what appears to be automated based on everything we've been told. Again, remember that. I don't like that. I like that Stripe and there is a middle manager holding the money that is deviated out as a safeguard. I personally do like that, but I don't like if there are automated safeguards that are being triggered that can't be manually reviewed. But who knows? I'm not too sure. Over to you, Saif. I apologize. I'm really butchering names today.
Yeah, it's safe. Call it as a not dangerous.
Man,
I'm a safe guy.
I'm going to say my name's Robert Andrews. It's the dullest, beigest name in the world. Try to get this name wrong. It's the dullest thing in the world. Thanks, Mum and Dad. Sorry. Over to you.
All right, I want to get this in. By no means, I think that this project is a scam. I think it's a bunch of kids. They come up with a brilliant idea, and they thought they could do it. Having absolutely zero experience in building a business around anything, right? So they came up with this idea, put it on Kickstarter, and it went wild. They got all this money, and all sorts of safeguards kicked in. Now I'm thinking, if this project fails, it hurts everybody. It hurts the customers, us. It hurts sorry, not Xero, but Arrow. As the Storaxa guys, it hurts Kickstarter as another failed project, massive project that failed. Stripe always getting a bad rep for holding the money. I think if a project accumulates a certain amount of interest, a certain amount of money, certain amount of pledges, some sort of success manager should kick in. Management should kick in from Kickstarters, guys. We want projects to succeed. Okay. And we're going to hold your hand because you came up with a brilliant idea. A lot of people seem to like it. We're going to provide some guidance around this. We're making money off of you, right? They're earning a commission. We're going to provide certain services, and we're going to make sure that this project goes all the way. I think that's something that kind of safeguard should come up, because I've heard in the past, all through these discussions, reference to other projects where Stripe held the money, and because they held the money for such a long time, everything ran out of steam and the project died. I would hate for this to see it. I by no means I think this is a scam. It's just a bunch of guys in over their heads, not really sure how to get this through. And all of these the existing safeguards that Stripe has put in, or Kickstarter's not seems to be doing nothing here, but it's just it looks like it's a downward spiral where they're holding the money, and the Kickstarter guys are having problems with their suppliers, and I hope it just doesn't die out, really.
I mean, that's a cool idea about the whole safeguarding idea, largely because then that would kind of be a regimented system with which an existing Kickstarter would have to adhere to continue the project and get the funding, and at least it would be a safeguard for the funds. I mean, again, it would be lovely to be able to reach out to Storaxa directly for that sort of stuff. I mean, fingers crossed. Hopefully we won't do another one of these in 6 months with a slightly dour tone. Fingers crossed. Over to Fabian, far away.
Hey, hi. I'm from Canada, far away.
Everyone's got lovely countries, Eddie. They're all in lovely countries, Eddie. Why are we not in a lovely... It's wet out there. Sorry, Canada, far away, Fabian.
Well, you know what? It's raining here as well.
No, but it's Canadian. It probably tastes of maple syrup and it's lovely. Ours tastes of racism and Tories. He said angrily, breathe.
Right.
Far away, Fabian.
Said, I feel exactly like you. Same thing. I feel that Kickstarter, they should have a role. I mean, their 5% commission shouldn't be only to take money from one point to another. I mean, they should be somehow proactive in the projects. So that's one point. Second point, we most likely all have paid with our credit card somehow through Stripe. And I think I do, and perhaps most other people, credit cards as well. I mean, we do have some form of protection against all sorts of issues with suppliers. So I haven't tried, but I think I could go to my Visa card and ask for a refund or a reversal of the transaction.
I mean, again,
so that's going
to be everyone's kind of position, and some people won't have used credit card, but I understand exactly what you're saying. I mean, again, I've said this previously in the video, and by the way, this is by no means a call to action. If you are unhappy with a crowdfunding project, and I've said this about a recent Indiegogo project, a video that I'm working on. If you're unhappy with a project, I mean, obviously reaching out to the creators should be number one, because obviously then it gives them the right of reply, and then you can get some direct point-to-point communication. But secondly, that all of these services, again, including Kickstarter, have right there at the bottom of the main page will have report this. Now, reporting it doesn't immediately kill the campaign. It doesn't. But it urges Kickstarter to get involved. Now, again, there are 5,900 people behind this. So the odd person doing it, as we've seen, wouldn't make Storaxa have to Kickstarter step in and go, what's going on over there? But it's one of those things where if a lot of people were concerned, that is one way to do it. But again, a lot of people will probably have already done that. And I'm just worried that people that immediately go to a credit card refund are doing so probably more reactively, because they're like, no, I want out. And, it's welcome. There's a reason they paid with credit card for that relative sense of safety. But for the people in the middle, there are a few middle ground ways in which they can at least raise concerns. Unfortunately, this video isn't one of those ways. But no, cheers for that. Again, I'm going to do terrible with names today. João, I apologise.
From Portugal, don't worry.
Far away.
It's actually João. I agree with Saif, actually. I think there are perhaps a bunch of kids that try to do their best and are actually not being able to achieve what they wanted. To be honest, I think they have a huge opportunity to actually create some disruption in the market, NAS world, where we see that there's a lot of big players that usually they stuck and have huge margins. So I would say that eventually, in the end, if they manage to achieve it, they can actually build a good brand. So I'm hoping, and I put some money there, of course, but I truly hope they succeed, even for to create the disruption that I'm talking about. I think that will be very useful, at least to stir up the market and making sure that we always get a best option and not only the crap that we get from QNAP and so on, or we have to pay
or the over 10 times price when you have to pay for the software on top. I was going to say, circling back to something that was mentioned earlier on about safeguards, again, Safe was mentioning, it's like kind of when you go to eBay, if you sell anything on eBay, obviously, or if you buy something on eBay gets cha-ching out of whatever that, but they're far more committed to that purchase afterwards. It's kind of a shame that Kickstarter doesn't have a similar kind of commitment to what they're getting for that 5%. But no, perfect. I'm over to you, Miguel.
Yeah. I'm probably in the same country as João from Portugal. Yeah, I believe that eBay, for example, or Amazon, they are kind of different as Kickstarter, because if you see Kickstarter, he has projects from technology, hardware, software, he has games, he has a lot of things, and they could try to have a better process to, like, okay, you can create a campaign, but if it's something from a physic object, then you need to have some kind of pre-agreement with some companies that will produce that, and say, okay, so this is a rough estimate of what will be done and what will be cost, and it's already started, or at least they already have something to show Kickstarter that this is not a scam, and this is something that, even if it's a scam, because everyone can go, okay, I have the money, I will just not produce these products and keep the money, but they could have something like that and show the end user that they already have that information, and if they have something, they can I don't know, like, go talk to the company, or contact the company or something like that will produce that, and have that information. That's something that we are seeing in this campaign, because from one of the early updates, they said that they know the company, it was around where they live, and it was cheaper for them because they know the
top 10,
people there. So this was why they were getting the product so cheap for the campaign. And that's something that's okay. I believe that it's locally for them, so they can add that.
But yeah,
go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say, circling back to something you said there. Kickstarter, I believe by its T&C, you have to show a prototype. You have to show plans. It's not like Indiegogo, which has, and I've mentioned this online as well, frankly, very questionable stances on crowdfunding with flexible goals. And you can, submit a plan on the back of a napkin if you wish on Indiegogo. Kickstarter does have a little bit more rigidity to what you have to supply. But unfortunately, a lot of the time when Kickstarters do start up and they don't provide that level of information, it comes down to backers and users to tell Kickstarter, like, yeah, this is a Mickey Mouse level product, this is nothing. And unfortunately, sometimes Kickstarter isn't aware. And again, that's not me defending them, but they do have a few of the elements you just described there in place, but their alert system for it is still seemingly on us, that we're supposed to tell them a lot of the time.
Yeah, but if the campaign ends and they are successful, they'll just keep the money and they will not get our money back. And this isn't the job for Kickstarter, but it will probably be a middleman that will keep the money and will be a middleman between the campaign and the Kickstarter and the rest. Like, okay, I have your money, and you'll be released like a bank. For example, if you build a house and you get the credit from the bank, they will release funds by tranches, right? So if you get 10% done, you will receive 10% or something like that. This will probably be something for a middle company to handle that, but that will also mean a lot of job for that company to have all the communications and all of that in the middle. But
I would largely agree with you if the sum that had been raised was between 10 or 50,000. There would be ways for the middle manager, in this case Stripe, to hold on to those funds. But we're talking about millions of dollars. It would be, I think, even they would find it legally slightly dicey to hold on to that Stripe in the middle, if you know what I mean. But I do see your point we were making. Sorry, I'm just going to move on to Sahif very, very quickly. Fire away, buddy.
Yeah, so I just want to build on what Fabian and the rest of the guys are talking about here. I'm from Saudi Arabia. I purchase using my credit card, but the credit card purchase protections aren't that strong as they are in other countries. For example, I cannot claim this as a fraud. My bank's going to say, hey, you willingly paid for this service knowing that you may not get the product. So this is not considered a scam or a fraud. So we're not going to entertain this request for a chargeback or anything. So credit card protection can vary from country to country. Secondly, I think, the last gentleman who was making comment on this as a middleman, I think maybe some sort of insurance scheme could come in where the money that we pay into Kickstarter, a premium is paid to an insurance company that can, in case a project fails, maybe reimburse a percentage to the investors. Along those lines, maybe that's an idea that could be looked into.
I mean, again,
just wanted to add.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, again, this makes me want to make a separate video about Kickstarter. But unfortunately, there are way better YouTube channels than me that could call Kickstarter out now. I'm just going to quickly check the chat. Is there anything coming through, Eddie? Or questions on there? Let's have a look. Oh, we've got a lot to read there. I don't think you guys want to watch me read. That sounds rubbish, right? That's like the worst audiobook in the universe. But
go for it, man.
But I was going to say, what we got there in the comments, my personal approach to Kickstarter is to assume that every project is either a straight-up intended scam from the start, with creators squeezing out as much as possible before running, to a genuine product requiring funds to get things going, but may fail due to oversight or overcomplications. 3, already established companies running crowdfunding to raise capital. Again, we'll talk about one of them later on. Instead of digging into existing funds and mitigate risk. With the exception of 3, where the company would have more or less established by that point, there's no way to know for sure between 1 and 2. Of course, there's ways to gain more information, such as digging up personal and professional history, etc. By the way, when people did that in the comments, that was weird. But nothing is guaranteed. As such, any purchases made through Kickstarter should always be risk-benefit assessed. Are the potential gains from a successful project, including the potential delays, worth the risk? Failed project, lost funds, etc. Not protecting Storaxa, have my own money in it, and hopefully definitely hope it succeeds. Fair play, man. I mean, again, that's very articulately put, and I think that summarises what a lot of people think about this. I mean, at the moment, I wasn't really going to... Originally, this wasn't even going to come up in the Zoom, but I'm assuming everyone here has seen the comment from Storaxa a few hours ago. I sort of touched on this in the preamble for the video. I'm assuming everyone's seen it. If you haven't, head over to the Kickstarter page now. It's right there at the top. And I just want to... basically, I want to gauge how everyone's feeling about that comment. Me, personally, I don't feel any different than I did when I woke up this morning before I read it. I mean, again, positivity, negativity wise, how do we feel about that comment?
I know they are there still.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. That at the very least, it presents that much information that they are there, which is good. But apart from that, I mean, what have we got? The update coming on the 30th there. I mean, at the moment, it's very hard to do a show of hands. That would be a little bit weird. But moving forward into the project and future updates, like, what would it take? Because I think a lot of people are in this Zoom because they're feeling like this is slightly... It's not... I'm not going to say things are bad, I'm not going to say things are good, but definitely people are feeling somewhere in the middle between the two of those. What would it take for users to feel like this is back on track? If I was to remove myself from my NAS Compare stance and look at this as a backer, I would want to see emails from Stripe. If you are watching this Storaxa and you're watching this either on YouTube or when I post this recording into the comments box for it to be scrolled later to be accessed remotely, I kind of want to see emails, but between yourselves and Stripe. I want to see a little bit more information about that. I kind of want an explanation about what have you been doing when not responding to these comments. I understand you probably have lives and jobs. I don't hold any ill will about them not appearing on a Zoom, as I mentioned in the previous video. Everything from being taken out of context, to language barriers, to anything like that. There are many, many reasons why a person would not want to appear on Zoom. I completely understand. But that's really what I would want to see. I would want to see more information about what they've been doing in this time, more information about the emails between Stripe, because we saw a very abridged version of that, and maybe even some of the agreements between some of these manufacturers for the components. I don't believe they are IP. We've got Eddie here. Eddie, over to you, buddy. Fire away.
SD is saying the best thing what they could do is actually send you this test unit. That could be a first sign of of progress.
I mean, I would say straight away, and it sounds weird, I disagree with that. And I know Eddie doesn't agree with me. This is one of the areas of contention that me and Eddie have. If they did send a prototype unit, we know that there is either a prototype unit or a unit that have been on camera. And as I've said to them on email, send the unit when it's ready. Sending a prototype unit and then we'd receive a prototype unit and then we'd play with it and go, yeah, this concept works. I don't think that would be enough given the kind of money that we're talking about here. Production is what I'd want to see. And then if they want to send a unit after production or during production, that's fine. But what again, removing myself from my NAS compare stance, what I want to see is proof of production and stuff happening. It doesn't have to be soldering irons and silicon paste under the fingernails, just something. Miguel, fire away.
Yeah, I agree with you. The prototype will be nice to see it working and to show the in-depth of the hardware, but I think having a better update with more information between, like, what's the status of each of the SQ motherboards and what's the status of the power delivery cable, or even the extras that we bought. So we have the SSDs and the HDDs and stuff like that, and the RAM.
That's a good point.
We don't know anything about that, and that will be something that we would like to know, even if the price stays the same. I think it's okay at this point. We probably just want the product, and when we bought it, it was a real nice deal, and it wouldn't be that different of a deal if we bought it today on most of the shops on our countries. But I think it's okay for the price to be the same, and even if we had to pay like some more money for the shipping, I wouldn't mind about that, because we'll get our product in the end, and it would still be cheaper than the ones on the market. So, and it will be good, at least from my perspective. It will be good to have that at the price that we bought it. So
I think
just a bit more of updates in that.
I was going to say, you've actually reminded me of something else as well. This idea, and again, this I've mentioned at the beginning in the introduction to this, me and Eddie are really in this just to document. But that aside, I will say there are users that are heavily invested in storage media, SSDs, hard drives, upgraded NICs, that sort of thing. And these users, those are components, particularly the hard drives and SSDs, which are just there. Now, I get that a lot of what Storaxa was saying in their updates was they've not received the whole money and they've got to do down payments. And, by their updates, they are stating that money is kind of earmarked for those things. And therefore, they can't just go, look, here's a picture of 1 million squillion hard drives. Where do you want them sent? But there still should be invoices. There should be pro formas. There should be documentation of those credit reports and these credit agreements and that kind of stuff. And all of this, these are all just weird gaps where, and I know it seems like an oversimplification, that if you were running a crowdfunding campaign and you were trying to do it as legitimately as possible, you've got all of this evidence here that says we are doing our job, and you're not showing it. And I can't think of enough sufficient negatives, with the exception of not wanting to reveal sources of where you're buying stuff cost effectively, not wanting to show the amounts perhaps, and stuff like that, not showing your sources for certain, for proprietary IP reasons. But that's something, and I've mentioned this repeatedly in the videos, I've never really got over, that there is a wealth of what would be classed as evidence sat over here, slightly out of shot and never shown. But again, that's me really failing to be neutral here. Over to you, Race.
Yes, I'm here. I'm from Bahrain.
Beautiful country. Everyone's doing better than me and Eddie. Eddie, write that down. They're all doing better than us. I'm livid. I've got a cat over there that's soggy and wet. That's probably going to blow my computer up. I'm livid. Go ahead while I cry.
Yes. Actually, we were discussing many things. It's good, actually. Now, actually, I am coming to a different point. Like Stripe's Storaxa informed that they will be releasing the fund by the November end, I believe. That's what they mentioned, or October end. Do you think they're going to release with this dead silence? I don't think so. Stripe will be releasing the fund. Because Stripe is waiting for some response from the Storaxa. At least they are starting the production or something. Unless Stripe is not confident with the Storaxa's manufacturing, I don't think so. They're going to release the fund. That is definitely sure.
See, I believe.
So I think waiting for the Stripe to release and Storaxa starting the manufacturing after that, I don't think so. It will not work. So Storax has to manage, find out some fund from somewhere else and start the production, or at least by the starting of the shipping, maybe the Stripe will release. I don't think so. Before that, we can expect Stripe will release the fund.
I think one of the main barriers, of course, is, again, this feels like we're hearing only half of a conversation on a lot of these things. And again, I'm failing miserably to be neutral. It's very hard for me to, when we're talking about Stripe and so much negativity being thrown at Stripe, and I'm not defending Stripe, but it always feels like Stripe is being used as a reason for the delay, which I get, but I don't think the Stripe thing equals no communication. These are two horses in a race, and I understand why, from what we've been told about the Stripe issue, why that would delay production, why it would delay sample units, why it would delay raw material. I completely understand, but that and the lack of communication, them Lego bricks don't brick together in my head, and I don't think it bricks together for a lot of users. Sorry, fire away, Johannes.
Yes, thank you. We are almost 6,000 backers, and we have pledged almost $2 million on this project. This must be a very big project on Kickstarter, or am I wrong here?
No, it's pretty good relative to the tech industry. I've done some checks. Other than video game stuff and particularly AI stuff, it's up there. And also, it's not 1.9 million; it's 3.4 million with the added add-ons that have been placed.
Yes, the add-ons.
So it's not a small sum of money we're talking about.
How much did you say?
I believe it's 3.4 million. I believe with all the additional add-ons. I believe.
Yes, that's very much money on stake.
And the thing is, there are to take me and Eddie as an example, and there are users that hear people, I'm not going to say the word complain in the comments, but I'm going to say there are people that express concern in the comments that are shouted down. And when that happens, there are users that may be in the position that me and Eddie are in, where we've gone, it's 200 quid and, we're going to make videos on this every month, and it's an ever-growing story, we're interested in it, and me and Eddie weighed up the pros and cons, and we're like, do you know what? 200 nicker, let's do it. And that's not a sensible way to go about spending money, but that is the way we did it. We're quite childish. But there are users out there who are, in the hole for 1, 2, 2.5 grand. They make up a larger percentage of that, 1.9 to 3.4 mil. And those are I think those are the users who are the most concerned in the comments, and why it's so depressing when you scroll through and then they'll make a comment and there'll be a few users that go, how dare you, don't you know this is crowdfunding, get out. And that solves nothing. It's so depressing.
Yes, because I think we are 19 persons here today and talk about this. I think, isn't it more interests by the backers?
Oh, there we go. Sorry, you just went quiet there. Everything went quiet my side for a second. I thought I'd lost all of you. Don't worry. Race, fire away. Oh, you there, Race? Can you hear me? If everyone else can hear me, right? Oh, nice, cool. I got very lonely there for a second. I was like, oh my God, the world has ended. I got very worried there for a sec. Far away. Go ahead, yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, like, so far the Storaxa communication is one way. They just post updates. After that, we ask something. There is no reply from their side. It's like one way only. So it's like that they're not listening to us. So we need something like they respond to our comments or something. It's like we want to be a two-way communication. Otherwise, whatever we're discussing, anything is no use. They once in a while they come, they post updates. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But for in the last many previous updates they're posting, even if you ask something, there is no reply. It's like we just listen to them. That's all. But they're not hearing us. So is there anything what we can do to make it like two-way communication?
Again,
So
I mentioned before.
That will be good for Storaxa also.
Literally, the only thing I can recommend is to go down that route if you have concerns to use the report button, because it doesn't kill a project, but the more that happens, the more Kickstarter eventually, presumably they have AI processes that then get raised, and then Storaxa then gets contacted by theoretically they get contacted. And it isn't Kickstarter saying to Storaxa, "What are you doing? You're awful." It is Kickstarter kind of leaning in and going, buddy, could you maybe talk to your people? But again, just to skip over to the chat section, we've got a comment there from, it was SD, I recall. I was scrolling down there. Someone was asking me about whether why don't I get in communication with Stripe? There's a few reasons for that. Number one, Stripe won't talk to some knobber who they've never heard of from YouTube that's just contacting them about it. But second and more importantly, I'm trying my best, and failing a lot, to cover this whole thing and not influence it. And unfortunately, it's nearly impossible to cover this without influence. It's very hard to talk about a subject without, if not inferring your opinion, then sometimes just flat out saying it. And for me to contact Stripe, whether it is I contact them to say, oh, go on, give them the money, or I contact Stripe to go, are they legit? Whichever way I would go down that path, I'm kind of influencing things because it would be public. So it's about finding a line between trying to cover this. Because remember, as I mentioned in the introduction, I know a lot of you weren't here for that. We mentioned in the introduction to this video, one of mine and Eddie, again, Ed Dunkers, hello Ed, our main motivation behind this is because this won't be the last crowdfunding server campaign, but it is the biggest there's ever been. And after this, it's going to be a question of if success or failure. There'll be other campaigns, other people launching campaigns, or people that are going to back. And that's the whole reason for us covering this. We want to show success or failure and document this all the way through. And it's just if I got involved and contacted Stripe for good or for bad, to push them or just to inquire, it would be influencing what's going on. And that's why I'm not contacting Stripe. I'm not even clicking the report button on the Kickstarter page, because that would once again infer involvement. It would infer influence. It's the same as that little button with the happy, sad, or neutral face. It's neutral all the way for me. A few of you, I believe a couple of you just joined. If you've got any questions, should remind you, just click the hands up button. Again, 3 dots on your phone, or if you're on a desktop like a normal person, keep it together, Rob, then just click the hands up button there. But yeah, Norman, you've just joined us there. Don't worry, you haven't got to go on mic. It's fine, unless you want to. Just to let you know, we've been perfectly nice. Everyone's just exchanging their thoughts and feelings. But have you got anything you'd like to add, or your thoughts? Because it may have been something that's been discussed. But if not, you don't have to. No, you're cool? You want to stay neutral? Oh, cool. So we can let Norman sort out his incredibly nice looking microphone. Oh, go ahead, buddy. So what, you've joined the Zoom here. Notwithstanding you probably came to this to see what people are thinking. But, what's your thoughts on the campaign thus far and for the future?
Yeah, I joined a little bit late because it's the time.
No, don't worry, man. Again, British summertime, Greenwich Mean Time. I've slagged off my own country several times in this Zoom while complimenting others. Don't worry.
It's a campaign over the whole world, so it's complex time management. I understand it. I totally neutral to the campaign so far. Okay, they talked with us many times, so I'm not at the moment to say it's a scam, because many in the comment said it to us. Scammer normally stops conversation when the campaign on Kickstarter ended. Maybe one more update, or they find another scam on Indiegogo parallel, for example, and after that normally they stop. So for me, the great risk is that they make too many promises, wishes. So yeah, it's a new Intel version, AMD version. Yeah, we can make this, we can do this. Okay, there are 4 people or 5 people, so maybe it's a little bit too big for 4 or 5 people.
Small team.
So and when they think the pressure go higher, they can and get in problems. Not so easy. The sound and the comments is not so happy at the moment, and yeah, they missed an update. Okay, it's not so good. Okay, I understand it. I accepted it, but for example, I have a bike helmet that's over a year too late. Normally last December I get my helmet, but now okay, I hope it's delivered and this is a bigger company. So yeah, I hope the best, and for me it's okay. I baked it. I'm fine with the Kickstarter agreements, and yeah, I want the product because I want to replace something old in my house. So yeah, but I understand also people, they invest more and don't to be fine with the Kickstarter agreements or for the first campaign maybe. So but yeah, but I'm not so deep into Stripe or pledge box things, refunds also. But yeah, at the moment,
I'll be straight with you, Norman. You've summarised the last 40 to 50 minutes of recording in just your one statement. What you've done is utterly invalidate me being here. Livid. One moment, I'll just pull you on just a second, Vitaly. Just a quick one to David Moody. I will post the text chat. What I'll do is I'll be sharing a link to the recording in the comment section of the Storaxa group, and also a slightly more refined version of this will go on the YouTube channel. Again, I mentioned it at the beginning. I know some of you have come later, but if you're not happy for your face to be on that, maybe get your camera turned off now, or double check your username does not have like your email address. I've done a few Zooms, and trust me, people do that. It is 2023, but people do that. Fire away, Vitaly. That's a solid name, by the way. 10 out of 10. Sorry, fire away.
Okay, because Storaxa mentioned you that you send you a test unit. Does it contact with you somehow, like email, or how it was?
I mean, I've mentioned it on the comments, but again, there's like a billion squillion comments, so obviously you didn't see it, which makes sense because you'd have to spend a day on there. But the initial message from them about the unit, again, I showed it in the video. So I think it's the second to last video. If you find it, I scroll through the mail page, but they didn't send a unit a little while afterwards. I think it was possibly 2 weeks. I'm not logged in on this system, but I think it was about 2 weeks. I sort of messaged them and went, oh, I've just noticed you've got this stripe issue. I understand if that's completely delayed the unit. You know, we don't want to have an unfinished product, the whole point of the benchmarking of the prototype. So it takes as long as it takes. And then a short while later, they got in contact to go, yep, this stripe thing is going to be a problem. The unit isn't ready. We'll send it to you later in the year. And that's the last thing I heard from them. And I've not chased them for the unit because I don't want them to send a unit that's not representative of, if not the finished product, then a working prototype. Because one, that might imply, well, we've got it, that we're going, yeah, this thing's going to be great, $3.4 million spent. But also that until they start getting production resolved and stuff like that, I think them sending a unit, us showing prototypes of it working, although it would at least show that the concept works, that does not represent fulfillment. So I've not chased them for the unit, and I'm not going to chase them for the unit. And if they do send one, that would be great, because it would be fantastic to put it through its paces, temp tests and more. But I'm rather more concerned with fulfillment at the moment, so I'm not going to chase them. And they've been no more communicative with me than they have with anyone else. I'm just going to, do you know what, during this Zoom, do you know what would be sensible to do? Why don't I check my email here, because they posted that update just before this Zoom. Let's see live if I've got an email from them. Hang on. Maybe we'll include this in the YouTube video. Not a bean. Carry on. Right. Did someone put their hand up there? Fire away. Ed Dunkers, UK. Fire away.
I was thinking.
Oh, I've muted you. Sorry. I've muted you.
Unmute.
I apologise. That was my fault, and I'm really sorry.
Just a thought. Did Stripe release any sort of money towards Storaxa?
I believe it was an initial. I think the initial payment. I think it was either just shy. I haven't got the figures directly to hand. I think I updated my article if I bring that up on the side. But I think it was just shy of $1 million. I think it was 900,000.
Because I was thinking to myself, there's the only thing what they designed themselves, and it's Storaxa case itself. So I was thinking, if they have $1 million of dollars, they will need to run 2 production lines anyway. One to create this case on its own, and the other production line to put all these components together. So why don't they invest their first $1 million into actual production line for these cases? So if that project falls apart, at least you can call it John's Bow, Storaxa, whatever, and send the empty cases out and fill it how you wish.
I mean, what I would say to that is, again, this is by no means a defence. I can only look at the evidence in front of me, and it's what they're trying to, by what they have said, they are committing to the fulfilment of this project, and that money was supposed to be used for down payments on credit agreements for all of the components, the boards, the CPUs, the PSUs, and they were saying in their updates that they had those agreements in place, and because the rest of that money was being held for an extended period of time by Stripe, it was not sufficient to cover all of the deposit, or indeed in some cases full payment towards the components to arrive to carry on production. So if they did take that, shy of $1 million, because I'm looking at the numbers here, they raised 1.6, pledge box 1 million, and then it showed, again, it's on the article, not to self-plug, it's all there. And Eddie, you're at NAS Compares, look at the website for God's sake. But I think if they did suddenly change course, if they went on there and said, look, we're having issues with Stripe, so we're just going to buy 1 million squillion cases. If they did that, I think that would cause more alarm by comparison. It's one thing they could do, and they did say they were looking at bridging loads. Again, I'm basing all this on those updates there, so let's be as neutral as we can. But yeah, I think the money they receive, they can't just spend it on something else when you've got a finance plan based on what they have said to put down payments on all those components, either in full or as deposits. But Vitali, back to you, man. Oh, you're
first. Okay, first of all, we are have no proofs at all. At least some screenshots that Stripe blocked their funds. So we no proofs that they were unlocked or something happened with those funds. We just got some couple screenshots. Hey, your funds were blocked, and I told in the chat that I work with Stripe a lot, and the longest block what we had, it was 1 month from Stripe, and it was a really crappy organization for what Stripe holders those funds, but they were still unlocked. So it's for me, it's unreal that Stripe will hold those money for 3 months just for keeping them.
I mean, again, I know you came to the Zoom later than a few others, but earlier on we were discussing how, and I was talking about I was basically abandoning my neutrality for a period and saying how I would like to see invoices for some of those, pro formas, that sort of stuff, some of those credit agreements perhaps. But moreover, as you rightly point out, the stuff with Stripe, we have, 3 to 4 screen grabs of an email out of context. And it does, you're right, even if we were to ignore the period of time, which you're saying based on your experience and, in-house experience, is an unwieldy amount of time, it still feels to me like, and I mentioned this earlier on, as far as if I had to take a kind of weird fairy tale look at how Storaxa is going, it's Storaxa HQ, whatever it is, over here is a mountain of really useful information that they could post information of to maintain the project, and they're choosing not to. And to say nothing, it can, again, neutrality, blah, blah, doing such a bad job of that, but you've got 2 stances, haven't you? You've got one stance where you go, look, we aren't talking because we've got nothing to say, or we aren't talking because if we say nothing, we can let mystery or let indecision carry us through and apprehension. But unfortunately, as you say, we've got nowhere near enough information for one way or the other. And again, for myself and Eddie, who are 200 nicker in the hole, I don't want to go into the details of YouTube. We haven't made 200 nicker from the ads on those videos we've made. So we're not looking at it in terms of that finance, but there are users who are 1,500 to 2.5 grand in the hole, and they've watched the cost of hard drives dip and flow. They've watched a Prime Day. They're going to watch Black Friday disappear over the horizon. God knows why. And they can't. That money's locked for them. and I think that is problematic for some users. I'm just going to take a quick look at the chat. Is there anything on there I should go through, Ed?
No.
Oh, okay, cool. We've covered most of it there. But yeah, I mean, was anyone else got anything they'd like to add? I've just noticed that you just vaped dead subtle there. You're like, I'm indoors, get out of my face. But has anyone else got anything they'd like to add to the discussion? Oh, good. I think we've reached the end. Unless anyone's got something they'd like to add. Oh, go ahead, Reese. One moment. Fire away. Oh, you there, Race? You okay to... I can ask to unmute. I can't force...
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, sorry.
No.
I forgot. I forgot.
No worries. No, it's cool.
In case if you get any chance to get a communication by email or whatever it is, only let them respond at least once in a week or alternate days for the comments for the backers. That is the only thing. So at least backers will be confident in their team. That is the only thing which I want actually.
Well, again,
let them respond to the comment. Yeah.
I've mentioned a few times before. I put money on the fact that I think Storaxa, if they're not already here in the Zoom with us, then they will watch this. So hopefully a lot of the comments we've talked about will, if not already have occurred to them, then at least they'll hear about them. I mean, for me, if I do get in any form of communication with them, I will immediately share that in those comments groups, as well as updating our articles and our videos, blah, blah, blah. But you don't have to do that. We'll just make sure it's on the Kickstarter itself. I'm just going to go to the comments. But I think, if again, I mentioned it earlier on, but I'll reiterate it. If you are watching this, Storaxa, and you're wondering how to make people happy about this product, updates, actual updates, images of those warehouse, anything to do with the invoices, pro forma invoices, some of the credit agreements you discussed there, more of the communication you had with Stripe there, and basically just talking to users. I think I almost feel condescending in saying this. They shouldn't need some knobber on YouTube to tell them that, and unless someone wants to argue with me, I would love it, because I want to be wrong. Miguel, please tell me you're going to argue with me. Fire away, Miguel.
I would say that this isn't the worst campaign I have in Kickstarter, and I already baked like almost 30 campaigns, and most of them it's like they end the time to bake to be a baker for that campaign, and then they just give us an update like 3, 4, 5 months after, saying like it's being ready for production, or it's being shipped, or there is an update related to the product. And I think if they didn't have the status, like to say, okay, this will be the next update and stuff like that, we wouldn't have so much of these confusion and problems. But I like the way that they are doing it. They are trying to be almost every month having an update and stuff like that. So I don't mind they are like late for the updates, even though it's a bit frustrating for us, right? We are the bakers. We want the update as soon as they said that they were giving us an update. So I would say I don't mind being late or having an update like 3, 4 months, but we have to have a good update every time, like being more transparent with their information. So saying like, so this is what's happening, this is what we have, this is what we are missing to do, and this is our current status. Just by doing that, we'll be like removing any issue that we have on this project.
I think circling back to what you're saying there, like I'm trying to remove any sense of me being in NAS compares and just looking at this like if I was just a normal backer with not trying to document this in any way. But I would say what I would want is those updates, as you say, to be significant, or at the very least, imagine if there was a comment there once a week that goes, "Hi, this is what we're doing this week." 3 or 4 lines. basically a WhatsApp message, just something. But the fact that it's neither, it's short updates. And remember, the update deadline, when they've been late, those are self-appointed deadlines. And they are also self-appointed deadlines that you can flexibly change within the UI of Kickstarter. So that was something I raised in a video a few months ago. It was the idea that if you set a date for the 12th, there is absolutely nothing in the system that doesn't make you go 14th. You don't, if you haven't got an update on the 12th, and we've all got calendars, if you don't do the update on the 12th and you've done that self-appointed deadline, there is nothing in the UI that stops you going 14th. You can do that. You can just kick it down the road and then just post a little sentence that goes, we're a little bit behind, but we've just moved the update. We'll get back to you in a few days. And it's a sentence. But that sentence carries so much weight. Again, Storaxa, if you're watching this, I'd like to think you know this. But no, unless anyone else has got something else to add. We got someone doing a dissertation or a PhD here in the comments. I'm going to copy and paste. This is my nighttime read. But yeah, I think a lot of users, this, because it's so large, because I think I mentioned this in the intro, you weren't all here for this, but when me and Eddie first heard about this, we didn't find out about this campaign because we were on Kickstarter looking to invest in something. We found out about it because subscribers to the channel and followers of the blog got in contact to say, oh, have you seen this? What do you think of it? And that's the only reason we heard about it. And then when we looked into it, it had been on, I would say, maybe 60 to 70% of the mainstream tech media outlets. That amount of coverage was enormous. And that was before this campaign broke 1 million. It's a lot of notoriety and a lot of eyes on this project. And I think success or fail, regardless of the coverage of our videos and the big mega thread article, this is going to have repercussions afterwards, because there's going to be a lot of people. There's going to be people doing real campaigns that if this fails, if it doesn't fulfill, it's going to hurt people that are genuinely trying to do this very well. And it's very easy for us to look at this campaign from our own, wallets and be unhappy about it. But I do think that is another really underestimated negative that could come out of a campaign like this not landing completely. I'm just going to do one quick cursory look of the comments, and unless anyone's got anything else they'd like to add, we might wrap things up. Also, if you're reading the comments, I will post these somehow, somewhere. Don't worry. So if you've missed the comments, you can go ahead and read them. But unless I've forgot anything, Eddie, or if anyone's got anything left to add, I might wrap things up. Anyone? I'll count down from 5 in my mind. I'll edit this for the YouTube. I think we're good. We gave everyone a chance. All right, guys. What is it? It's Thursday today. Does anyone have a beer on Thursday nights? I think I might. But yeah, great. Thanks for watching. If I do tap this on the end of YouTube, again, go to Kickstarter's contents and the comments section. And from there, you'll find a link to the downloaded recording of the unedited version of this video. On top of that, we'll try and post either the full details of the conversation in the comments of that video and on the article, or we'll try to post them in Kickstarter, but it might be elongated. There might be a character limit, but we'll try and figure out a way to do that, and we'll post a link to this recording on the comments as well. But apart from that, cheers for joining, everyone. I hope you have a great week. Enjoy your weekend. I know there's only one day left. We will see you next time. Eddie, I'll give you a call after this, man. But apart from that, I'll see you guys later. Cheerio, guys.
Thank you.
Later, man.
Thank you.
Later, everyone.
Very much.
Cheers.
Bye.
No worries. Bye, everyone.